I'm Britton Clennett and welcome to China Insight, where we discuss the latest issues affecting this rapidly changing country. Well, over the last few years, China has launched an increasing number of rockets into space and made strides in space research. But what are China's space ambitions? Is the long-term vision about human flight, deep planetary exploration? And what impact might the Chinese space program have globally? Joining me in the studio today is Zhang Shuangnan. He's a chief scientist at the Chinese Academy of Sciences Institute of High Energy Physics. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me here.
It seems like China, in terms of its space program, has a kind of diverse range of targets, you know, from space research, experiments, I mentioned human flight, planetary exploration. Yeah. What is the priority?
China's space program, or space science program in particular, are included in three programs: manned spaceflight program, and a deep space exploration program, and also space science satellite program.
But is one given more priority than the other?
Not really, I think. All these three are very important.
Okay, well, I think that introduces our report quite nicely. China Insight investigated China's space program a little further. Let's take a look.
Okay.
Space, the final frontier. These are the adventures of China, a country which has taken a quantum leap to become one of the leading space explorers on the planet. Now, its latest project, the Tiangong 2 Space Lab, is drawing the eyes of the world. We followed the engineers, scientists and technicians behind the scenes of one of China's most important launches in a decade.
In 2003, Yang Liwei boldly went where no Chinese had gone before, on China's first manned space mission. And within the next decade, a brand new space station is scheduled to be in operation, just as funding for the International Space Station is due to run out. China really is the rising star in the space scene. But is the country merely catching up to international competitors, or can we expect genuine innovation made in China? Let's find out.
Let me take you on a journey back through time. It's 1970, and at a time of domestic upheaval, China is sending its first satellite into orbit. As the Dongfang rocket soars up into the sky, so does China's national pride.
东方红1号发射的时候，对中国人来讲是扬眉吐气的一天。
Zheng Yongchun is a research scientist, contributor to China's moon missions, and a Carl Sagan Award recipient, promoting space science among the general public.
那个时候，中国的科技基础，什么叫一穷二白，基本上是零基础。
Ever since, China has ticked off the space explorer's checklist at the speed of light. In 2003, the galaxy welcomed its first taikonaut, as China's astronauts are known. In the following decade, 9 more followed on 4 missions, including 1 spacewalk. It's 2011 and Tiangong 1, a space laboratory prototype, is shot into orbit. It's the first step on a journey expected to span well over a decade and end in China's very own space station.
中国其实最早的时候也希望参加到国际空间站的建设里面来，但是很遗憾没有加入进去。
A joint effort between Northern American, Asian and European countries, the ISS initial components were deployed in 1998. It has set a galactic record for the longest human presence in low Earth orbit, having so far been continuously inhabited for almost 16 years.
To carry on the responsibilities, keep the space station running.
The astronauts live, eat, and get creative with water in space.
It's becoming a tube of water.
China was not invited to the party, despite its interest.
原因始于2011年的沃尔夫议案，在 NASA 的拨款条款里面有一个附加规则，就是说如果你要接受我国会的拨款，那么你要终止和中国的在航天领域的一切合作。
Perhaps this refusal fueled China's desire to independently launch its own space station. It's predicted that by 2024, funding for the then 26-year-old ISS will run out, potentially leaving China as the only country in the world with a space presence. Welcome to Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in the Gobi Desert. This is the backdrop for all of China's manned space launches. It's now mid-September 2016 and the engineers are busy with final preparations before the deployment of Tiangong 2. This heavenly palace, which is what Tiangong means, is the first full-fledged space lab made in China.
空间实验室的任务呢，它主要就是为今后建造空间站进行这个继续试验。那么将来航天员在空间站啊是要进行这个长期的飞行的，所以说呢，我们必须要先在空间实验室进行这个中细驻留，掌握航天员在失重环境下的一些这个生活啊、工作方面的一些保障技术。
Meet Wu Bing. Contributing to the design of the manned space lab is the first major mission for the 27-year-old.
生活在一个密闭的空间中，要考虑这个房子中的温度、湿度、气压，然后包括氧分压、二氧化碳分压，就是这种比较细节的一些技术指标。就这些指标，只有在一个比较合适的范围之内的时候，这个航天员居住的时候才能更，一方面是舒适，再一方面的话才能更加安全。
Wu Bing has been working on the Tiangong 2 project out of Beijing for the past 3 years. For the final phase, he has come to Jiuquan, living and working at the center in the desert for the past 2 months.
第一次参加这么重大的发射任务，所以现在是抱着一种既期盼又紧张的心情来等待着发射的到来。
T-6 days. The 8.5-ton Tiangong core module has been placed on top of a Long March 2F carrier rocket and is undergoing vertical transportation to the final launch site.
现在整个器件组合体就在这个蓝色的活动平台里边，用这个活动平台把它包裹住之后啊，就是能提供一些相关的温度、湿度的一些这些外界这些温湿度条件。这个塔架现在是合拢状态，将来在我们发射的时候，它会从两边分别打开90度，然后成一个敞开状态。
Little has changed from the deployment strategy in 2011, when Tiangong 1 was sent into orbit. Its job was to test the technologies of spacecraft rendezvous and docking. It completed 2 manned space missions of 15 days each, involving China's first female astronauts Liu Yang and Wang Yaping. The module is expected to burn up in the Earth's atmosphere in April 2017. Just as the sun sets on Tiangong 1, Tiangong 2's star is on the rise.
天宫2号里面这个颜色啊，主要是以这个白色为基本色调，配上了绿色、黑色等等这种装饰色，就是人在里面待的话，视觉上长期是非常舒适的。
Comfort and convenience are central to Tiangong 2's design in consideration of the extended length of time it will be inhabited. The living quarters feature Bluetooth, adjustable lighting and a foldable table used for both dining and experiments. To prevent muscle degradation, the onboard gym includes treadmills, bikes and even an acupuncture point massager.
在天上的话没有重力，所以几乎是没有这个天上和地下的这个概念的。所以在内装饰设计的时候啊，就是让航天员在里面之后能感到哪边是天，哪边是地，有一个分割区域叫做角格。通过这个角格呢，能把前就上下和左右，就是这几个方向来区分开来。
The lab can house up to 2 taikonauts at a time for a maximum duration of 30 days. The Flat in the Stars is looking forward to welcoming its first occupants a month after the Tiangong 2 launch. It's a busy schedule that is catapulting China to the forefront of space endeavor.
While the country's achievement, little scientific discovery has actually come from previous efforts. China might be the Jupiter of space exploration, but it is merely the Pluto of space science.
Tiangong 2 is taking China's space program into a new, more purposeful era. Scientific research is at the heart of the project.
天宫2号是一个真正意义上的空间实验室，此次的应用项目创新性很强，部分项目代表了国际前沿水平，比如冷原子钟、空卡马堡偏振探测。
Polar is the name of the gamma-ray detector, in essence a new lens through which to observe the cosmos. Tiangong 2 is also taking with it the first cold atomic clock to leave Earth. The cutting-edge device took over a decade to develop and will increase the precision of the lab's navigation system.
And I'm going to have design to last 31 days.
And in a move to prove the Martian is more than mere fiction, an onboard mini greenhouse will attempt to grow Mausia cress and rice, rather than potatoes, in space.
The greatest botanist on this planet.
But how do these high-level experiments, conducted in a location far, far away, relate to ordinary people here on Earth?
航天，我想，主要目的还是为人类。就是我们做了这么多技术，当然它有很多原创性的一些过程，可能会有一些经费的一些投入支出。但是如果没有这些技术的投出支出的话，我想不可能有今天我们这么高速发达的这种信息。
高能首先自己是探索前沿的知识的，这一部分呢，我相信很多人说它没用，我也基本同意，它没啥用，因为所谓的没啥用是说不会产生直接的经济效益。天宫2号上搭载的很多科学实验呢，都是比较小型的，微重力条件下一些规律是什么样的，是吧？在科学上，在人类知识上是有用的。至于它最初能不能直接产生经济效益，不一定，但是对我们的未来是非常重要的。
航天这个领域啊，它代表的是一个综合国力。发展航天实际上是能够带动基础工业的发展的。从航天领域有一些基础工业的需求，然后但是在其他领域不一定有，然后通过航天，然后来牵引这项技术的发展，直到这项技术发展到比较成熟，然后能够更广泛的应用于其他的这个行业。
It's the night launch and it's time to fuel up the rocket that will carry the Heavenly Palace to its rightful place.
加注期间时间很长，汗液就直接浸透了衣服。
At 10 o'clock at night, after 5 hours of work, the rocket's tank is finally filled. It's up to Wu Bing to identify any potential threats to a smooth takeoff.
塔架上面啊，咱们现在主要有一套整流罩内的这个温湿度监控系统，然后这个的话，我们是需要每天都要去确认的，确认它这个温度、湿度以及各项这个环境条件吧。推进剂加注之后，然后我们要对这个推进剂的这个泄漏情况进行实时的监测，确保它一直没有泄漏，保证在发射的时候也没有任何问题。
天宫2号空间实验室的主要任务是接受载人飞船和货运飞船访问，
用普通话就叫做整理心情，不是回家这个想家的心情，是备战的心情。比如说我们大家在吃饭、在睡觉前的时候，大家都会考虑，就是今天已经做过的一些事情有没有哪些遗漏，还是会有担心，有一些地方考虑的不周全，而导致这个有一些纰漏出现了。
2, 1.
Pre-launch nerves are understandable in light of the great risk involved.
An NLMnet. We have had a contingency on the Glory mission.
I think it's not an understatement to say that tonight we're all pretty devastated.
In 1996, China's Long March 3B rocket took off at a wrong angle and crashed into a mountain beside the launch site, reportedly killing 6 people. In 2011, the exploration probe Yinghua-1, intended for Mars, failed to be propelled outside of Earth's orbit. In the US in 1997, NASA's Delta II rocket went up in flames 13 seconds after launch, earning it the nickname the $100 million explosion. T-minus 6 hours.
1分钟准备，各号注意，1分钟准备，40秒。
明显的感觉到自己心跳在加快。
4、3、2、1，点火。12秒，428毫秒，12秒，428毫秒。
漂亮了！
哇，太棒了！
特别震撼呀！而且我是第一次过来看的时候，然后尤其是5、4、3、2、1点火的是那一瞬间，整个心就跟着火箭刷刷刷刷开始往上走了。
酒泉2级油机关机，东风2级油机关机，酒泉地电分离。
感觉吗？特别的激动，看着这个真的是自己这个研制了好几年的这个航天器啊，成功的入轨，成功的翻班展开，真的特别的高兴。下一步还有很长的路要走，是吗？今晚上我也参加飞空1，我经自己手送上天。
Check ignition and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know.
A long way to go it may be, but China is not planning on walking it alone. After its exclusion from the ISS project, China became very vocal about its future space station being open to everyone. As a result, several European astronauts are already said to be learning Chinese.
Why are experiments being carried out in space?
In space, you can do many experiments which cannot be done on the Earth.
Like what?
For example, the Earth has an atmosphere which blocks the, for example, the X-rays, gamma rays, ultraviolet, and infrared radiation from all kinds of astrophysical objects into the Earth's atmosphere, so that the telescope on the Earth can only looking up into the sky in the visible band and the radio band. But we know the astrophysical object, all these kind of objects produce radiation in all waveband. So only when we look at the very magnetic spectrum, then we can understand the nature of those objects.
Okay, and why is it important that we understand the nature of those objects?
Of course, when we are on the Earth, we look up in the sky, we see many things. We certainly want to understand what they are.
So you hinted that it's kind of instinctive that we would want to find out about our own world.
Yes, certainly. We want to understand the nature. We want to know whether black holes are there. If we have ETs up there, we want to know all of this. Now we have the opportunity. And of course, many other things we can do in space. And the microgravity condition, which we cannot create in the laboratory here. And so in space, we don't have gravity, then we can do new experiment. And because on the Earth we have gravity, you have defect.
Right.
So you do not fully understand what's going on. Then
So you
once
remove that.
you remove gravity, then you can know perfectly what's going on there. And eventually, we think we human beings want to immigrate to other planets.
Right.
So you want to know how to do it. We cannot be confined just on Earth.
The report touched on astronauts perhaps learning Chinese so they can come on board the Chinese space station.
Yeah.
How much international cooperation do you foresee?
We have some right now. For example, the Polar experiment measuring gamma bursts is a joint experiment with Switzerland and Poland. They are in Switzerland, we are in China, we are talking every day over the network and on the progress. We are getting data back every day now. So we're analyzing the data. And in the future, I believe we are going to have a lot more international cooperations. The reason is that science is really attract the interest, the attention of scientists everywhere. And the opportunity of going into space is rare and expensive. So when
It makes sense for everyone to work together.
when there is an opportunity to do this, scientists all over the world want to come together to do it.
Scientists do, but I'm skeptical about the willingness of countries to come together when traditionally, historically, of course, space has always been a bit of a diplomatic, tension as well. You look at the Cold War and the Soviet Union and the US,
Well, that has always been true in space business. And science is less effective by that. So it's actually the best way to put people together all over the world. We have some problem to work with NASA. It's not because of China, as you know. It's because the US has a regulation that does not allow the NASA scientists to work with China directly.
And that's through Congress approved, right?
Yeah. But the scientists want to do it. So we still work together on space science part of that through multilateral collaboration. So scientists always want to do that.
Yeah.
And if there's some regulation, we want to circumvent this regulation legally, but we still want to do that. But with Europe, we almost have no barrier, no obstacles. We work together quite a lot.
As more companies want to launch commercial satellites, how do you see the role of privatized space research?
Privatized space programs certainly will expand, but for research part, I think it will continue to be funded by government, by public funding. First of all, it's expensive, then it's quite risky, and the return, like all scientific research, is not guaranteed because scientific exploration always have uncertainties. This is not something commercial activities want to get into.
Right, but not too long ago, Elon Musk, the Tesla founder and founder of SpaceX, announced he wanted to go to Mars. Now, are you skeptical of that?
Space travel is different. Space travel, I think, also has two parts of it. One is exploration of the space. That, I think, is essentially the task of the government funding. But then you have space tourism. I think that you have a very good market.
But his plans go beyond that. He's looking at colonizing Mars, and you mentioned that earlier. So do the Chinese, so do everyone. So what you think that privatized space programs like that aren't going to be successful?
I don't think so, honestly. But I support that program. The reason is that eventually we human beings, if we want to survive much, much longer, we have to go beyond the Earth because the Earth cannot be our permanent home.
Right.
So this is for sure. So somehow we have to go out. But is Mars the best place? I don't know, and I thought about it.
But do we have another option?
We don't know yet. We don't know yet, but Mars is much worse than Earth. So if you want to spend the resource to make the Mars habitable, I think the cost is much higher than maintaining the Earth. Right now, we use Mars as an experimental field. That is a very good idea. When you try to go to the Mars, then we will eventually have the technology to go beyond. So eventually, astronomers may find other planets that are much better than Mars, maybe even better than Earth.
Okay, well, I'm going to let our audiences mull over that for a little bit. We're going to take a short break. Stay with us.
Okay.
Welcome back to China Insight. I've been discussing China's space program with Zhang Shuangnan, a chief scientist at the Chinese Academy of Sciences. Does space exploration excite you? That's the question we pose to people here in Beijing. Let's see what answers we got.
作为中国人来说，还是挺那个的，心里挺美的吧。
知道这个事情，但不是很关注的那种。
特别兴奋，特别高兴，也很激动，也很自豪。
我是从南方那边过来的，这次最主要来嘛，也是来看一下天宫2号的发射。很多就是说在航天发展方面呢，我都挺支持的。
因为我觉得没有必要就是投大量的钱，就是放在航天上，因为毕竟跟百姓的生活不是那么的息息相关。
I don't see that as something wasteful. I think it's kind of like showing a country his power.
因为很多未知的领域，我们都是很想了解。因为我们是做渔业的嘛，那航天对我们的影响很大。以前没有天气预报，那现在有科技发展，有天气预报， 对我们渔船这种生产的作业安全是很有帮助的。
There's obviously a lot of different opinions there. Some people fully back the program, some people are excited about it, and others aren't. Why do you think that is?
I think it's a matter of balancing. For research, for the space program, we are spending taxpayers' money. So we certainly should listen what taxpayers say, what they feel.
But is the outreach program working if there are still people going, oh, well, I don't think there's any point?
So you can never have everyone to agree on everything, no matter how good that is. Again, I want to tell you a story about myself. This actually has to do with why I eventually returned back to work in China and heavily involved in the space program. While I was a professor in the U.S. University of Alabama, of course, teaching student astronomy, physics, I found out, of course, not to my surprise, the names of scientists who made the discoveries are foreigners. China has a very glorious history. We have always been very proud of that. But when I look at the textbooks, which is certainly a very important part of a civilization of human beings, I don't find a Chinese name. I was very ashamed of. So this is what I taught to a reporter from the Science magazine. He asked me the question, why you return back to China? I said, maybe I want to change this. China is a big nation, and its economy is growing. And it's certainly true, we still have a larger population, people in poverty. But you have to look into the future, and you have to be responsible for the civilization of a human being. I certainly hope that several generations down the road, when they look at the textbooks back then, they found more Chinese names there. I think with the investment today, we may be able to do that.
Right.
The real issue is the balancing. How do you balance in your investment in the future and your investment today?
How about the role of reaching out to the public through social media, through getting crowds to these launches, through really picking up support and getting people excited about it? You know, NASA has Twitter accounts and big teams of social media people really trying to pick up support and getting people interested in more creative ways and running competitions and all kinds of things. And I just wonder if that's going to happen more and more in China, whether you're going to see its space.
It is happening more and more in China very rapidly, I think. The knowledge of China's space program in China, knowledge means they know this, is more than anything else that the Chinese people know. But certainly a lot of people, after a few years of excitement, a few times of excitement, they start to ask why.
There
why
goes
you are
another
doing
rocket.
this.
Right.
So the first time when we have an astronaut there, we are very, very excited. First time we have a lady there, we are very, very excited. Then what's more? What more you can do to get attention of the people? I think that will make big scientific discoveries.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the program and for your insight into China's space program.
You're welcome. I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you very much.
If you have any comments or questions, please email us at chinainsight@cctv.com, or you can find us on Facebook, Weibo, and WeChat. And we'll see you next time for more stories and discussion on China out of China.